Jujutsu Kaisen Light Novels. There are 2 of them, and despite them being canon, I haven't really heard many people analyse or discuss them at length before. The 2 novels themselves are a collection of short stories taking place during Season 1 or just before the Hidden Inventory flashback, as the trio are all friends here and are all alive. The light novels give us some nice, wholesome character interactions, a little bit of world building that JJK desperately lacks in its anime and manga, some character backgrounds and added context to character actions, as well as some nice artwork to accompany them. Whilst the novels themselves are written by Balad Kitugani, he just kind of does the novel translation of these stories in a way, the stories themselves actually being created by Gege. So these stories are canon to both the anime and manga. The format of these light novels are an anthology of short stories. The first light novel, Summer of Ashes, Autumn of Dust, has both wholesome and horrifying stories from the Jujutsu Kaisen world. I'm going to go through the first story shown to us in this light novel and simplify the plot for you and tell you everything you need to know. If this becomes a series, I'm going to go through each of the stories from the light novels one by one, so let me know if you want more of this. But with that being said, let's jump into the first story of Jujutsu Kaisen, Summer of Ashes, Autumn of Dust. Story number 1, Jujutsu Kaisen. The plot itself focuses on the main trio of Yuji, Megumi and Nobara going on a bit of a shopping trip and splitting into 2 groups of Megumi and Yuji and Nobara herself going off on her own to shop. As Megumi doesn't trust Yuji on his own in a setting that is completely new to him. It starts off pretty wholesome with Yuji going to Akiba for sightseeing purposes, as both Yuji and Nobara are from the country and the way Itadori describes Akiba tells us why he wants to go there. Page 10. Is there something you want to buy? Fushiguro asked. I doubt there's anything more than manga, video games and electronics. Huh? I'm going sightseeing, Itadori said. Shibuya and Shinjuku are alright, but whenever I see Akiba on TV, it has a real otherworldly vibe, sort of like a theme park. In this small story, we get some cute little interactions between Megumi and Yuji that help add a little bit to the 2's character dynamic and the friendly relationship between the 2 that we don't really see enough of in the actual manga. Page 11. This is crazy, Fushiguro. There are game centers everywhere. They're like convenience stores. Because this is Akiba. This is crazy, Fushiguro. Those maids are actually trying to get our attention. Because this is Akiba. This is crazy, Fushiguro. Is that a pervy video game? That sounds for a pervy video game, right? Whoa, is that allowed? Like, right out in the open? Oh, I'm underage. Will I get in trouble? Shut up already. Akiba was a noisy place, but to Fushiguro, Itadori was 3 times noisier. And then, as the 2 explore Akiba, we are given one of the best pieces of dialogue in any piece of JJK media to date. Page number 12. Hey, Fushiguro, Itadori exclaimed. Let's eat a kebab. Kebab. Beautifully written, if I do say so myself. The 2 of them go to an arcade and end up playing a businessman-themed fighting game. Pretty based, not gonna lie. They play this game for an hour or so, finishing up with Yuji losing more times than Megumi, meaning the winner is Fushiguro. Rare Megumi win. I know, it's crazy. That never happens. But as the 2 are leaving the arcade, they spot a familiar sight. Gojo. He's in the arcade alone on his day off. And he's seemingly on a crane game, the one of which he's playing has sweets inside. But he immediately gives up after failing to get the sweets he wants from the crane game after a single attempt, so he heads to the exit. Yuji wants to follow Gojo to see what he's doing during his days off, as despite being the 2's teacher, as well as Fushigoro's adoptee father, they know next to nothing about him. As soon as they try to start following him, they lose him. Then they immediately see him eating a big-ass crepe. But as soon as Gojo finishes the dessert, the 2 students spot their teacher entering a vacuum tube specialty shop. I have no idea. Which leads to this goofy line of dialogue. Page 18. Is Gojo Sensei an audiophile? No, Fushiguro said. He seems more like the kind of guy to listen to music on YouTube. What the f*** does that line even mean? I mean, to be honest, this short story is filled with some absolute banger quotes from these 2. Page 18 again. There he is, Fushiguro. Gojo Sensei is hard to miss. He's huge. Yes, over 6 feet. He'd rule on a basketball court. Although I can't imagine him playing, Fushiguro said. Me neither. They follow Gojo around town, going all over the place, inside a vinyl store and buying a classical record from an old foreign film. They see him use a gachapon machine for a mushroom keychain, just to get bad luck and get a poisonous mushroom, much to Gojo's dismay. He goes into a bookstore and reads manga. Like, Gojo seemingly doesn't have a goal and he's just walking around town. He's letting his whims take the wheel, so to speak. The pair try to follow him into another building until Megumi stops, holding Yuji from rushing ahead. The 2 read the sign. Page 20. Angel Maid Cafe, Mischievous Cupid. Megumi theorizes that Gojo has entered this lovely establishment due to the ad for pancakes posted on the wall. Yuji and Megumi decide to end their sting operation here. They solve the case. Gojo tends to eat more sweets when he's rather busy. Case closed. Page 21. Well, we solved the mystery, so I guess we can stop following him. I'm too embarrassed to go in there. That's a smart decision, responded Itadori. For you, anyway. Welcome, masters. Maid then basically usher the two kids in, force angel wings and halos onto them. Fushiguro, the edgy Sasuke clone that he is, hates it. Yuji, however, absolutely loves it. The two of them get some orders of omu rice in front of them, and the server asks them to describe an anime scene that is, quote, heartfelt, beloved, or especially dramatic. And they need to describe this scene without telling the server the title of the anime they are actually describing. And if they do so successfully, they pass and will, quote, glob on more heart onto their meals, which I guess means she'll draw heart and ketchup or some crap, I don't know. The anime scenes described here are actually pretty funny. Let's see if you can guess them. I'm going to put footage on screen from said animes, so if you want to partake in this little game of trying to guess the anime, close your eyes, okay? Page 23. Whoa, that's hard, said Itadori. Okay, the main character is a boy who admires heroes. Ooh, I watched that, I'm a huge fan, exclaimed the server. And there's a character with a father complex. When he remembered how he wanted to become a hero, he uses his left hand, which he wouldn't before. I like that. The server likes the episode, but says it's a bit of a cliche scene choice and to try again. So Yuji gives it another shot. Alright then. A different anime. Itadori thought for a moment. The main character loses his parents and grows up in a ninja village, and there's a scene where everyone accepts him as worthy and tosses him into the air. Yes, that's so heartfelt. You know how his instructor, the only one who was on his side, gets tears in his eyes? That's the best, Itadori said. Yes, you're almost there. And he says something like, now there is a hero before my eyes, continued Itadori. From this, we know that Yuji is canonically a My Hero and Naruto fan. What an absolute G. Now that means all the shonen fandoms will stop having stupid arguments on Twitter, right? No, of course it doesn't. Yuji wins a free side for describing Naruto and My Hero as well, so that's a nice little dub for Yuji. But granted, the fries they get are described as being cooked from frozen and not worth the price. But, you know, a dub is a dub. The pair then get pictures with the maids together, Yuji getting flustered from the experience and Megumi hating every single moment. The two eat their overpriced meals and leave. As they're leaving, Yuji realizes they lost Gojo. More so, they forgot about him, really. Megumi is so miserable from this day of gaming in maid cafes that he doesn't really care anymore about following Gojo. Until Gojo himself appears behind the two, with Nobara in tow. Nobara herself looking pretty peeved. Gojo reveals that all the places he had been visiting have all been part of him looking for locales for first year students to get some more experience. He bought the vinyl because, according to rumours, a vinyl will agitate some of the nearby curses. Nobara then interrupts with her shock and annoyance, as well as confusion at the fact that Megumi went into a maid cafe. Gojo explains how he found these places with some low-level curses to fight some first-year students, and now he has 3 first-year students in front of him to go to these said cursed areas. Yuji and Nobara are understandably peeved, but Megumi is, quote, stoked at the idea of fighting some curses. Gojo then gives us a little bit of extra info regarding the fight with the Roppongai curse from Nobara's introduction, which I find quite interesting. Megumi himself, during this fight, isn't a part of it, and as a result, Megumi was quite annoyed that he was left out and didn't get a chance to show off his skill. He denies this, but he didn't get a chance to show off and it's hitting him. The story itself ends with this Team 7 trio heading to the locations Gojo scouted out. However, something falls out of Yuji's pockets as the 3 kids walk away. Gojo picks it up, puzzled by what he's looking at and trying to figure out what it is. When he did, he burst out laughing. Page 28. He was 80% amused by how funny they looked and 20% amused by how heartwarming it was. Gojo stood there for a moment, smiling and holding the photograph of Itadori and Fushiguro in halos and angel wings in the company of a maid. Whilst this story itself is inconsequential, okay, in the grand scheme of things, unlike some of the other stories in the light novels, some of which focus on stuff like Ichiji, Nanami, and other cursed speech users, we'll talk about them if this video does well. The story does give us a bit of nice internal dialogue from Megumi, as well as some wholesome interactions that are unfortunately missing from the main series. We also get a little bit of Gojo's thoughts at the end there. Since Gojo comes off as incredibly erratic and elusive for a lot of the series, he tends to be mischaracterized by the fandom a lot, in my opinion, so it's nice to read this wholesome narration of his thoughts when seeing a picture of his student and adoptee son next to a maid. It's nice. The story is pretty simple. They go to Akiba, they go to an arcade, they follow Gojo around, go into a maid cafe, get their picture taken, and then head on a mission. That's all it is, but it's still something I wish we saw more of in the main series. In a series where half of the named characters in this short story end up dead and mangled, it's nice to read these interactions that we never got to see. If this video does well, we'll go for the rest of the light novels from JJK chapter by chapter, taking a look at them. The next short story on the list would be about Nanami and Gojo trying to hunt down someone who supposedly sells dolls that raise the dead. If that interests you, subscribe, like, and comment on this video. But with that being said, doodles my doodles, hopefully see you in the next one. Peace.